Welcome back to the channel, 12-Step Guide with Troy O. Today we're going to begin Step 5, Education, out of the book Alcoholics Anonymous. Came out in 1939. We just completed Step 4. If you look at the last video, the complete reading of the step book, you will find PDF documents that you can download. It will include the 4 different lists tied to your Step 4. It will also include words out of Step 4 from the Big Book and the Step Book with definitions. At pages where they were found, I want you to be able to contemplate the different words, where they were found, how they were spoken, and how they might apply to your Step 4. This also helps you as a sponsor. It opened your mind when considering how you may have been affected when building your lists. I hope you find that helpful. There's an interesting thing, what we were reading up to this point in that chapter, how it works. And now the new chapter we're going to get into with Step 5 is into action. So how it works is it's a set of directions. It's understanding. It's a lot of admission. Step 4 has some components that compare to Step 1 in the sense that you're admitting to yourself. Now, you may have done a Step 4, maybe someone helped you with it, but if you were doing it largely yourself, it's all this information is still internal. And until that information is conveyed to another, the real magic may not be revealed. And so that's what we're going to focus on today. So otherwise said, for all that pissing and moaning and complaining and how hard it was and you didn't want to do it, from Bill's perspective, it's still just admitting the problem. It's not even moving into the solution. If you want recovery from that problem you identified in Step 1, this is how you get there. So in today's reading, you can expect Bill to recap some of the effort that we've already done. He'll get into a motivation or a reason to move forward with Step 5. He'll then get into some avoidance, reasons why we may avoid it or what happens by avoiding it. Also, choosing another human being. Maybe a little bit about how to choose it. Implementation. When we start to communicate to another human being the nature of our problems. At the end, he'll review the first 5 steps. This was the first book Bill wrote. There's a second book, the Step Book, the 12 and 12, and that came out 13 years later. We will do that reading the next video. We want to put these together. And there's a lot Bill learned. You know, for all the times that I use the word sponsor so far, Bill never uses the word sponsor in Step 5 here. And what is Step 5? Admitted to God, ourselves, and another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. And I believe he doesn't yet use the word sponsor because maybe it wasn't a thing yet in AA. It was young when this came out. So what are we looking to achieve in Step 5? Well, one of the things, we're looking for character defects or things we want to change within ourselves to bring into Step 6. we're becoming ready to remove these defects of character also. That's a willingness that develops over time. We're also refining our step 8 list. That's a harms done others list. If this is the first video and you haven't seen those other things, it may not make sense to you. But the people that have done these lists, it should make perfect sense to you. Let's go ahead and start the reading. So in all books, the new or the old, it's chapter 6, Into Action. I'm reading from the original book. Having made a personal inventory, what shall we do about it? We have been trying to get a new attitude, a new relationship with our Creator, and to discover the obstacles in our path, the things standing in our way. We have admitted certain defects. We have ascertained, that's found via investigation or examination. We have ascertained in a rough way what the trouble is. We have put our finger on the weak items in our personal inventory. Now these are about to be cast out. So Bill sees this step 5 as the first step towards real resolution. This requires action on our part. So this is an action step. This is an outward step. The previous steps were generally inward, which when completed will mean that we have admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our defects. Now, step 5 on a wall in the meeting would say the exact nature of our wrongs. So he's using wrongs or defects the same. This brings us to the 5th step in the program of recovery mentioned in the preceding chapter. In 5th step is in italicized, squiggly, so each one of those are when it gets to each of the steps. This is perhaps difficult, especially discussing our defects with another person. We think we have done well enough in admitting these things to ourselves. There is doubt about that. In actual practice, we usually find a solitary, done just with self, nobody else, self-appraisal insufficient. We usually find it's not enough from their experience in AA in the first 3 years. Many of us thought it necessary to go much further. We will be more reconciled. That's willing to restore harmony or balance. So we'll be more reconciled to discussing ourselves with another person when we see good reasons why we should do so. And really, this comes back to your step 1. If you got problems that you really want to change, well, that matters. If you're not really too worried about it and you don't want to change, that's going to have an influence also. So, why do it? The best reason first, and this is Alcoholics Anonymous, so we're going to talk about the alcoholic. If we skip this vital step, we may not overcome drinking. Time after time, newcomers have tried to keep to themselves certain facts about their lives. Interesting here that he's using the word newcomer. What is a newcomer? Ask yourself, if you've been in the program a year, in sober year, are you a newcomer? Have you done step 5? If not, maybe you're still classed as a newcomer. See, they were doing this step early on, within the first 3 months when you really are a newcomer. So I offer that. He's pulling up this word newcomer. He's confronting it. This stuff was intended to be done early on, not just waiting and hoping things get better, suffering for a year. So let's learn more about that. Trying to avoid this humbling experience, they have turned to easier methods. Almost invariably, almost always, they got drunk. So tried to skip over this step or not do it, hang out at 1, 2, and 3, and there's a high relapse rate from that because all that stuff's coming up. And yeah, you're putting out little campfires maybe by going to meetings, but the steps, this step 4, it's not done at the meeting. You go to meetings to sort of vent off, but these steps are done at home. Step 4 and in step 5. Having persevered, that's to engage in despite difficulty or risk of failure. Having persevered with the rest of the program, they wondered why they fell. Just want to skip this. Maybe I can do just 1 and 12 or 1, 2, 3 and 12 and just not really do this or didn't understand it. So there's some interesting reasons about it. We think the reason is that they never completed their house cleaning. They took inventory, all right, but hung on to some of the worst items in stock. And if you took inventory at all, they only thought they had lost their egoism and fear. They only thought they had humbled themselves. But they had not learned enough of humility, fearlessness, and honesty. In this sense, we find it necessary until they told someone else all their life story. And so there's one of your first clues. Uh, Telling someone your life story, and you're really getting into the nitty gritty details about it. More than most people, the alcoholic leads a double life. He is very much the actor. To the outer world, he presents his stage character. This is the one he likes his fellows to see. He wants to enjoy a certain reputation, but knows in his heart he doesn't deserve it. So what's happening here? He's putting on a false front, he or she. Being deceptive, fake, an illusionist, liar, imposter, two-faced, Jekyll and Hyde, afraid to show your true colors. Can't be trusted because you can't trust yourself. A replica of what you could be. So, an actor. So it's a two-part, this Jekyll and Hyde thing. And so what happens from there? The inconsistency, that's being erratic, is made worse by the things he does on his sprees. He goes on a bender, goes out getting drunk, and what happens? After coming to his senses, because look at, if when you're drinking only good things happen or nothing bad's happen, and then you got, it isn't a problem, and well, we're not here looking at it. It's the ones where bad things do happen, or whatever your step 1 is. You, maybe it isn't alcohol, maybe it's something else. Whatever your step 1 is, things don't go the way you wanted them to go. Coming to his senses, he is revolted at certain episodes he vaguely remembers. He can't stand the thought of having to look back at him. He feels shame, whatever is happening. He or she isn't happy about what's happened. These memories, for the alcoholic, these memories are a nightmare. He trembles to think someone might have observed him. There's some potential shame and embarrassment. As fast as he can, he pushes these memories far inside himself. The next set of drinks might help him with that. He hopes they will never see the light of day. He is under constant fear and tension. That makes for more drinking. This cycle, you go out, you drink, you get all free, be this whatever it is that alcohol allows you to do or be, but maybe it's not, doesn't agree with your real morals, who you really are, who you're trying to be, who you thought you were, and it shows up in your thoughts, your attitudes, your actions, shame, embarrassment, fear. Plus, maybe you spent all the money, smashed up the car, went to jail, having sex with people you didn't intend to, other stuff like that. Well, psychologists are inclined to agree with us. We have spent thousands of dollars for examinations. We know but few instances where we have given these doctors a fair break. We have seldom told them the whole truth, nor have we followed their advice. Unwilling to be honest with these sympathetic men, we were honest with no one else. So an alcoholic goes in, pays good money to lie to the psychologist. Makes perfect sense, right? Because when you're active and you want to pursue those things, back to Jekyll and Hyde, right? You don't quite really know who you are. There's all these different things happening. So pay good money and go off and lie to people. Small wonder many in the medical profession have a low opinion of alcoholics and their chance for recovery. Well, let's change that. We must be entirely honest with somebody if we expect to live long or happily in this world. Rightly and naturally, we think well before we choose the person or persons with whom to take this intimate and confidential step. So, yes, it's an important step, very important step, but it can't come back to you. And we're going to get into that more. This choosing the right person, it's something that we're going to need to consider. Yeah, it's a scary step, but that for now, I want you to consider that it can't come back to you. What you convey to another person, you don't want an avenue for that to be coming back to haunt you. Now, when we do select a person, this written format is going to help keep us honest and on track. Moving on. Those of us belonging to a religious denomination which requires confession must, and of course, will want to go to the properly appointed authority whose duty it is to receive it. So there are religious organizations out there that do this as part of their protocol. Though we have no religious connection, we may still do well to talk with someone ordained, that's qualified by an established religion. We often find such a person quick to see and understand our problem. Of course, we sometimes encounter people who do not understand alcoholics. Couple of thoughts there. One, these are people, it's less likely for something to come back to you if you go to a person who's trained, qualified, and does this as part of their life. And two, I've heard a lot of alcoholics, oh, they're not alcoholic, you don't understand. Here's my thinking on it. It's your job to help them understand. It's your job to help you understand yourself. If someone isn't understanding, there's a good possibility it's because you're not explaining yourself well. at the end of the day, the one who really needs to understand the alcoholic and to understand you is you. The better you understand yourself, the better you understand the malady, the better the chance that you recover from it and make credible changes. If we cannot or would rather not do this, we search our acquaintance, people to consider, for a close-mouthed, understanding friend. Closed-mouthed. It cannot come back to you. Perhaps our doctor or psychologist will be the person. I'm going to get back to that a little bit later. It may be one of our own family, but we cannot disclose anything to our wives or our parents which will hurt them and make them unhappy. We have no right to save our own skin at another person's expense. Such parts of our story we tell to someone who will understand yet be unaffected. The rule is we must be hard on ourselves, but always considerate of others. I am not a fan of including family because there's a high likelihood it could come back to you. There might be rare instances. I'm just not excited about it. Now, that's a personal opinion. Notwithstanding, that's without being opposed to it. Not opposed. Notwithstanding the great necessity for discussing ourselves with someone, it may be one is so situated that there is no suitable person available. You might be in a situation where you really just can't do it right now. If that is so, this step may be postponed. Only, however, if we hold ourselves in complete readiness to go through with it at the first opportunity. Maybe if you're searching for this person like you were trying to secure the next drink or drug, that could be helpful in finding them. There are situations, hey, being in the Department of Corrections, it doesn't mean that there isn't someone available yet. Again, it can't come back to you. We're going to talk about this more in the future. You could be temporarily at some job or something that just doesn't allow it for now. But if you're willing, when the opportunity does arise, that carries a lot of value and weight. So we say this because we are very anxious that we talk to the right person. That's very important. It is important that he be able to keep a confidence. He got to keep his mouth shut. He got to be trustworthy, or she. That he fully understand and approve what we are driving at. That he will not try to change our plan. But we must not use this as a mere excuse to postpone. Now, why might he try to change our plan? Well, if you go find someone that's, say, another active alcoholic who has all kinds of problems, and you want to talk about problems, and they're not ready to face their own, how can they hear yours? The closer you get to their problems, the more they're going to veer away and not hear it. As a counselor, one of the things that is encouraged is deal with your own problems, because if you don't deal with your problems and someone comes in and their problems are close to yours, you could unknowingly veer them in a different direction. So hopefully that was helpful information. When we decide who is to hear our story, we waste no time. We have a written inventory, went over that in 4, and we are prepared for a long talk. Now I want to get into this. A long talk. Hours, maybe 6 hours. That's been my experience of my own, or hearing others. So let's consider what's on the list currently of possibilities. A priest, clergy, minister. We covered that they do this kind of stuff for a living, some of them. Bill had suggested a friend. Now, Bill described Ebby T, who came to his house and did an intervention. He was in the 4-step program, the Oxford groups. In the AA, we'd say it was a 12-step call, typically done by 2 people, not just one. But in this case, he came, he intervened. Bill finally got into treatment, and this friend went and educated him how to do what we know as step 4, and then heard his step 5 in treatment. What's he, a couple of weeks sober at best? So it was a soft 4 and 5, I'm sure, at the time. But my point here is this boyhood friend in AA, we would call a sponsor at this point, or a temporary sponsor. He's certainly functioning like that in that capacity. He was in recovery himself. Now, that's just defining the word sponsor. It doesn't mean that it couldn't be someone else. Bill had suggested a doctor. It's funny, like he had Dr. Silkworth back in the day. In his day, that might have made sense. Today, it really doesn't. Often a doctor's got 15 minutes for you. You're not going to pay him 6 hours to hear your testimony. A psychologist, I'm not excited about it at this phase, and here's why. Unless they can set aside, say, a couple of 3-hour stints to just hear it, this long talk, an hour at a time, has a lot of potential to develop holes in it. It's better in one sitting. If they could do it in, say, 2-3 hour stints or something like that, that might work. Now, I'm not trying to minimize the value of a psychologist. You might be better to convey this with a sponsor, spiritual advisor, someone else, and then start to consolidate that information down into something coherent where things, categories, issues are keep coming up in certain areas. Things are connecting. You're seeing the character defects. You're moving towards step 6. You're thinking about a plan and how to work that. Now you take that to your counselor and now work that. Just a suggestion, for example. Now, others certainly work this out with their sponsors. I'm not saying you have to have a counselor or something. I'm just trying to address that Bill certainly used the word psychologist. Family member, to be able to do that, and that family member not somehow being personally affected, cousin, grandfather, because maybe you never had an experience with them, but say you disclose something that hurt someone they love. Well, that could be a problem. I'm just not excited about it. A family member, it's like one of the last on my list. Again, there could possibly be someone, just my opinion now, at 3 years sober, Bill suggested maybe. There's a lot of potential sponsors out there, spiritual advisors now. AA's 90 years old. There's plenty of other people. You got to put the work into it and certainly select the right person. Moving on. So be prepared for a long talk. We explain to our partner, the person hearing it, what we are about to do and why we have to do it. It helps if we know ourselves why. He should realize that we are engaged upon a life and death errand. Again, depending on your step 1, people like me, it's very clear. Others, your life might be in disarray and you've had enough of it. In many things, these 7 deadly sins can lead us down a real dark path, or others could get hurt. It could lead to death, a death spiral. Most people approached in this way will be glad to help. They will be honored by our confidence. We pocket our pride and go to it. That word pride's well defined in that list, the printout. Consider that word pride and what it means to pocket it. Illuminating every twist of character, the parts in us, those twisty, turny, dark things that have happened, every dark cranny of our past. We're telling it all. Once we have taken this step, withholding nothing, that's the goal, we are delighted. Things start happening as a freedom. We can look the world in the eye. We can be alone at perfect peace and ease. Our fears fall from us. We begin to feel the nearness of our Creator. We may have had certain spiritual beliefs, but now we begin to have a spiritual experience. So what's he saying there? This spiritual experience, regardless of your belief system, I want you to be able to dig right in and understand what's going on here. You're suddenly experiencing a new clarity, a freedom within, peace of mind. You're not lost. You're resolving active addiction, clearing out a major hurdle, becoming one with yourself. Now, that's an important one there. That actor, being one with yourself, being what your word matters. What's happening inside you, this thing has to matter. It has to matter to you. Before anyone else, your word to yourself, what you say, what you do, has to be the same regardless of what the direction is. There should only be one of you that moves in tandem with all parts of you the best that you can. I mean, look, we're going to get angry, we're going to make mistakes, life goes on, right? If you think living life without the drink, all of a sudden the marriage is going to work out and everything I do is going to be wonderful and the jobs and everybody's going to love me, horse shit. Okay, life's tough enough, but the drink and the bad behaviors that just destroy everything, man, I'll tell you. But life, the freedom that you get from freeing yourself from that, from seeing the problem, understanding yourself better, the clarity, it's important. Moving on. The feeling that the drink problem has disappeared will often come strongly right off the bat. So, if you've been relapsing, but you haven't been doing the steps, well, there's a clue. For example, we feel we are on the broad highway, a kind of large highway, walking hand in hand with the spirit of the universe. So, what's that mean? We're not conflicted. Now, we're going to start moving into step 6. And there's not a lot of information here today about certain things. It's a broad stroke here of this reading. And we're going to look at it again in step 5 in the step book. And we're going to talk about it and put it together and use whatever examples we need to get a good firm foundation of this. So this is just one part of the reading, but let's consider what's being said here. Returning home, now this is after you've done your talk with telling your life story and finding some character defects and cleaning up your list and really getting to know yourself. Returning home, we find a place where we can be quiet for an hour, 1 hour, carefully reviewing what we have done. We're going to come back to that in a minute. We thank God from the bottom of our heart that we know Him better. If you want to know God better, get to know yourself. Taking this book down from our shelf, we turn to the page which contains the 12 steps. Carefully reading the first 5 proposals, we ask if we have omitted anything. For we are building an arch through which we shall walk a free man at last. So, this arch, a doorway to a new world for us. Again, a new clarity, a freedom from self, not tortured by these alcoholism and drug addiction or these behaviors, sex, eating issues. So now he's going to talk about examples of what it would be like to build an arch. Is our work solid so far? Are the stones properly in place? So this is an analogy to compare to. Have we skimped on the cement put into the foundation? Have we tried to make mortar without sand that's making cement? If we can answer to our satisfaction, we then look at step 6. So I'm going to stop the reading then because now he's getting into step 6. But he's asked some questions here. And I'd like to take a minute to review those questions with you. Because he says, taking this book down from our shelf, we turn to the page which contains the 12 steps. We're carefully reading the first 5 proposals. And we ask, have we omitted anything? So what is he asking there? So the first 5 proposals, the first 5 steps. What's he asking? Have we achieved the first half of true humility? I believe is another way of looking at it. A realistic outlook or clear recognition of who and what we really are. Step 1, did we identify a problem and willingness to work on a plan toward the best achievable solution? Whatever your step 1 is, an alcoholic like me, the best achievable solution is to never drink again. It's broken. Now, we know that from reading earlier in the step book, there may be people that have identified themselves as problem drinkers. Maybe they don't quite know what the best achievable solution is, and they're going through the steps because they trust the higher steps are going to help them find that, whatever that is. Maybe someone has identified another problem and it so far seems to come out in drinking. You will find the solutions. I'm not afraid to offer that. I can't drink in safety. If you're honest with yourself and you follow this process, you will learn much about yourself, about your problems. So whatever your step 1 is, have you identified a problem and the willingness to work towards a plan of the best achievable solution? I believe is some of what he's asking there. Again, that true humility. Did we accept the problem? Well, that word, what's that mean? I fought with that in early sobriety because I was only at step 1, 2, and 3. And what does that mean? This acceptance, what's that mean? I kept going over it again and again. What's that mean? I didn't have any substance. Yet I used it in the serenity prayer, accept the things I cannot change. So what does that mean? How about from a step 5 perspective, looking back, because now we have something? Well, we stop fighting it. It's a change, a course change. Let's use just a simple example. Let's say you got big plans on a certain day, and next thing it's raining and you can't do these plans in the rain, and you put a lot into it and you're angry about it. Well, let's say you create a new plan, something else you can do, all wasn't lost, and you let it go and you start moving in that direction. You accept what you cannot change. Did we accept the problem? Again, stop fighting it. Have we changed course, pursuing a new plan? Did we, in step 4, did we open up our hearts and mind to outside help? A higher power? Step 2, did we make a decision to let a higher power help and participate in a process where we can open up? AA, counseling, other groups or support networks? Have we been able to open ourselves up to this sort of change? Bearing in mind that outside influences have had a negative effect on us in one way, maybe outside sources is what it's going to take to have a positive outcome. One's more we're in control of people that are working on similar problems such as ourselves. Did we do an exhaustive 4th step inventory? Did we convey that inventory to an outside source, which includes another human being as well as ourselves, to the best of our ability? You know, what's the best of the ability? There's plenty you convey. That doesn't mean you weren't light on specifics or places or names. Those things weren't necessarily important depending on what you were talking about. Unless it was important, that's not where we're going with it. We're targeting the information, the behaviors, the outcomes, thing we don't like ourselves, getting towards those character defects, shortcomings, misgivings, things we don't like about ourselves, the drivers that keep bringing us back to this bad behavior. So the clear recognition of who and what we really are, that the first 4 steps, was all identifying who and what we really are. But now we're headed to the second part of true humility, followed by an honest and sincere attempt to become what we could be. And there's a part of that plan that the best possible outcome, making a plan in life. If you don't have a plan, it's tough to move towards something. So recovery, I believe, is a plan. And we develop that plan as we go along. That plan isn't developed in step 1. You can't see it there, but by 4 and 5, you're seeing plenty. You've identified areas. You've cleaned up your lists. You're experiencing a far greater freedom and sobriety and peace of mind. And you're willing to move forward on that. Now, if you can answer those 5 questions, yes, I've done those things. I'm better understanding true humility and where it's going and how to get there. Then yes, you're ready for step 6. If you've done it to the best of your ability, move on. If you can see those things, you move on. Keep pushing forward. It's worth it. So from here, we will move on to step 5 in the step book and put these together. Well, thank you very much. Have a nice day.
If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. Ring the bell to be notified when new content is added. Also, you can support the channel 12-Step Guide with Troyo by donating through PayPal to hsworldservice@yahoo.com. In step 4, we are laying the groundwork and planting seeds for the 9th step promises. Those promises are: we are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity and know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Keep moving forward. It's worth the effort.